And so I'm going to say to everyone who's watching us, in the next new Congress, the 117th Congress, I will be introducing guaranteed income nationwide, and it will be tailored. It will be tailoring a plan to the new economic realities we're currently facing because of this pandemic. And it will hopefully allow us to engage this upcoming administration, and as we push them to leap forward into a future that could be brighter for all of us.
Were you guys able to hear that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Kahmali, that actually leads into a question that I wanted to talk to you about a little bit. Obviously, that's a big, bold, progressive piece of legislation. It's exciting to see it, get introduced on the House of Congress where it'll inevitably die. I'm wondering and now that we are set up we were hopeful on the left, I think, perhaps misguidedly hopeful that this would be a Democratic Senate and a Democratic Congress and kind of, not have to deal with this whole we're just not doing anything because of McConnell, justified impotence from the Democratic Party. I'm wondering, what do you think is going to be an effective resistance, if anything, from the squad, newly empowered with a few additional members? None of the original squad members lost their seat, so it has grown, albeit not by the margins that I think many of us would have liked to see. Do you think any resistance from the squad, both new and old, will be effective?
Well, I don't think that people are going to want to hear my discouraging, thoughts here, but no, honestly, I don't think that there's much that the squad can do. I think that they just don't have they're outnumbered. They're vastly outnumbered. They just don't have the power in Congress that they need to have. We may talk about later some of the plans to restructure the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and I think that could have some impact, eventually, but it's going to sort of be a slow moving process. And I think that what we're going to have to, what we need is to develop a block of these Congress people and these House members that is large enough that they can actually, by withholding their votes, it's significant enough that they can actually push for their policies. And I just don't think that they have that those numbers right now. And so I do think that the way that it's going to, the left is going to have to win. And even, ultimately, again, like you said, that's to push for, something in a House that will ultimately never make it past the House. But, even if it did, Joe Biden has said on record, he would veto things like Medicare for all. He says, and he's been hostile to a Green New Deal. And so I don't think that there's very much hope for the left. What the left needs to start to get serious about, I think, is where we win is winning in primaries. I think that has to be the focus. Is we have to start winning primaries. We have to win presidential primaries as well, because we need somebody that is favorable to our agenda in the White House, because I do think that there are the power that comes from that, the way that you can staff your administration is extremely important, because it's not just the day-to-day is being handled by who is it actually in all these positions at the FDA, the EPA, the SEC. And so I don't think that the squad has enough power right now. I think that they did expand, Jamal Bowman, Mondaire Jones,
Cori
Bush. Like these were big expansions, and those were, like AOC, talked about, like it was only the, everyone that supported Medicare for all, they won their primary. So we know these policies are popular policies, but I think that there's too much hostility to those policies, both in the House, within the Democratic Party, as well as in the White House as well. And so I don't think that they're going to be able to do much as the bloc that they are. But if the changes from, Jayapal, which again we might get into, go through, I think that there is some, over time, it can eventually create a situation where they do have that kind of power and vote as a bloc, and actually withholding their votes actually has some power. But
do you think that the squad is going to resist Pelosi at all as she attempts to become speaker again, or do you think they're going to basically roll over and let it happen?
I think there will be zero resistance.
They want Mama Bear back in charge.
Yeah. AOC has already, Mama Bear is coming back home, and I think that they've already signaled that there's no challengers to her right now. Akeem Jeffries is floated, and Akeem Jeffries, I mean, the challenges that they're talking about, Akeem Jeffries is terrible. Like he's
terrible,
awful. He's just another, he's the same, all those same policies, those neoliberal policies repackaged into a younger, darker package, and that's it. And it's just like, we're going to put a young black face on all these terrible, horrendous, corporatist, neoliberal policies. And that's who Hakeem Jeffries is. He's funded by big pharma, so I don't put any, and, Pramila Jayapal, I honestly, I don't even think that even folks like Pramila Jayapal, who would be the one, the person, I think Barbara Lee or Pramila Jayapal would be the likely contenders there. You need somebody with experience. You can't, some people were, I've heard it floated, not by you guys, of course, but people floating like, can a member of the squad challenge Nancy Pelosi? And there's no chance. They will get no support. And you have to have the support of the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party right now, let's be real, is by and large an establishment corporatist party. And so you're not going to get support for a progressive right now leading the charge on that. And folks like Barbara Lee and Pramila Jayapal, let's be real, just aren't even willing to challenge Nancy Pelosi. And I'm sure to them there's some behind the scenes power, struggled going on at play there that we're just all of us normies are just too dumb to understand that we can't, and so, but it's like, you got to do something to fight back. And so they barely mounted a challenge last time, and it quickly got snuffed out. This time, there's not even been a signaling that they're going to mount a challenge. So I don't see any of that happening. And Pelosi might run again in 2 years. So who knows? I mean, she'll probably die in that, in that seat. So yeah.